You built something. From nothing. You had an idea, you took the leap, and somehow, against all odds, it actually worked. Customers came in, money started flowing. You remember that feeling, right? That rush when you realize this is actually happening. This is real. I made this. And then something shifted. Maybe it happened slowly, maybe it happened fast. But at some point, the momentum that felt unstoppable started to feel like you were pushing a boulder uphill. The sales that used to come easily suddenly required twice the effort for half the result. The excitement in your chest turned into a quiet anxiety that follows you to bed at night and greets you before your alarm even goes off. You started wondering if you made a mistake. You started questioning yourself in ways you never did when you were first starting out, and the worst part, you cannot tell anyone. Because to everyone on the outside, your business looks like a success. You have to keep smiling, keep posting, keep showing up. While on the inside, you are silently trying to figure out why something that was working so beautifully just a few months ago is now slowly suffocating you. That feeling is more common than you know. And it has a name. But most business owners never find out what it is until it is too late. Here is the truth that nobody warns you about when you are starting out. Early success in a small business is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to you. Not because success is bad, but because early success creates a false signal. It tells your brain that what you are doing is working, so you keep doing it. You double down on the thing that got you here, and that is exactly the trap. What got you to your first $1,000 will not get you to $10,000. What got you to $10,000 will not get you to $100,000. The strategies, the habits, the mindset, the systems, all of it has to evolve. But nobody tells you when to make that shift. And so most business owners just keep running the same play until the field changes beneath their feet and they are left standing there wondering what happened. Now, before we go any deeper, because we are going to go very deep today, I want to mention something once and only once. There is a program linked in the description of this video. It exists specifically for business owners who are in this exact position, the ones who had early success, felt the momentum slow down, and are now looking for a real path forward. Most people will scroll past it, most people will tell themselves they will check it out later, and most of those people will still be in the exact same position a year from now. If that is not you, the link is there. Now let us get back to what is really going on inside your business. There is a specific moment that happens to almost every small business owner. You do not realize it when it happens, but looking back, it is the exact moment everything started to change. It is the moment your business grew just slightly beyond what your current structure could support, just slightly. Not dramatically, just enough that the cracks started forming but were not visible yet. Maybe you started getting more orders than your process could handle cleanly. Maybe you hired someone to help and now you are spending more time managing them than actually working. Maybe your customer acquisition cost quietly crept up and you never noticed because the revenue is still coming in. These invisible cracks, they pile up, and then one day, you look at your numbers and they do not make sense. You are busier than ever, but you are keeping less. You are working harder than ever. But you feel further behind. You are putting in more hours than you did at your old 9-to-5. And you are starting to wonder if you traded one cage for a slightly bigger one that you built yourself. That is not failure. That is a completely predictable stage that most successful businesses go through. The ones that survive it are not smarter than you. They are not more talented. They just had access to the right information at the right time. Information that most people never stumble across on their own. Let me tell you exactly what happens inside a business when this silent collapse begins. It usually starts with what business strategists call the founder dependency trap. Everything runs through you. Every decision, every problem, every client question, every fire that needs putting out. You are the bottleneck and you do not even know it. The business did not grow bigger than you, it grew dependent on you. And now you cannot take a day off without things falling apart. You cannot get sick. You cannot step away to think strategically because the moment you step away, everything slows down. You are not running a business. You are running a job that you own. And that distinction is the difference between a business that builds wealth and one that just creates exhaustion. Oh, hit their first slowdown, the instinct is to lower prices, to run a promotion, to discount, to do whatever it takes to get more customers moving through the door. And it feels like it works in the short term. The cash comes back. The panic subsides. But what you just did is train your market to expect a lower price. You compressed your margin. You attracted a different type of customer. One who is price-sensitive and far less loyal. And now you have to work even harder, serve even more people, to make the same amount of money you were making before. Business owners who have studied these patterns, who have worked with dozens of companies going through exactly this stage, will tell you that discounting during a slowdown is one of the most expensive mistakes a small business can make. Not just financially, strategically. It sends your business down a road that gets narrower the further you go. And then there is the marketing plateau. In the beginning, everything you did felt like it worked. A simple post, a referral, a conversation at the right place at the right time. But as your business needs more consistent fuel to survive, that casual approach stops being enough. You start trying more things, spending money on ads that do not convert, creating content that nobody engages with, following advice from people on the internet who have never actually run a business at the level you are trying to reach. You start feeling like marketing is a black hole. You throw things in and nothing comes back. And the psychological toll of that experience is brutal, because you start to believe that maybe you are just not good at growing businesses, that maybe the early success was luck, that maybe this is as far as you go. Stop right there, because that thought, that specific thought, is the most dangerous one you will ever have as a business owner. It is also completely wrong. The businesses that push through this exact phase, the ones that came out the other side growing faster than they ever did in the beginning, did not do it because they suddenly got smarter. They did it because they found a process, a repeatable, scalable structure that replaced guesswork with strategy. They stopped doing more and started doing the right things. And the difference in their results was not gradual. It was dramatic. Businesses that were stagnant for 2 years started seeing consistent monthly growth within a matter of months after making the right structural shifts. Think about what that means for you. Think about what your life looks like when the business is not something you are constantly worrying about. When you wake up and the systems are working. When customers are coming in through channels that do not require you to be physically present every moment. When you can look at your numbers at the end of the month and they actually reflect the amount of effort and sacrifice you put in. When you can finally pay yourself what you deserve. When you can stop saying, "I do not have time," and start saying, "Let me look at my schedule." That is not a fantasy. That is what happens when the business model is right, when the pricing is right, when the positioning is right, when you stop competing on cost and start competing on value, when the people who find you already want to work with you before they even speak to you. Here is something that business analysts and growth consultants have documented repeatedly. Small businesses that fail after early success almost universally share one common characteristic. They never made the transition from reactive to proactive. They were always responding to what was happening instead of creating what they wanted to happen. They were playing defense every single day while wondering why they never gained ground. The businesses that made that transition, the ones that got ahead of the problems instead of constantly solving them after the fact, they described the experience as feeling like they finally got out of quicksand, like they could breathe again, like the business became something they were proud to run instead of something they were ashamed to admit was struggling. And here is the part that never gets talked about enough: the cost of staying where you are. Every month that passes without making the structural changes your business needs is not a neutral month. It is an expensive one. You are paying with your time, with your energy, with opportunities that go to competitors who figured this out before you did. The longer the gap between where you are now and where you could be, the harder it becomes to close it. Not impossible, but harder. That is why the business owners who move fast when they recognize this pattern are the ones who end up ahead. Not because they were reckless, because they understood that waiting has a cost too, and that cost compounds just like interest. You came to this video for a reason. You recognized something in that opening. You felt it. That quiet knowing that something needs to change. That the path you are on is taking you somewhere, just not somewhere you want to go. Trust that instinct. That instinct is the most valuable business asset you have right now. The program linked in the description of this video is for the person watching this who is ready to stop guessing and start building something that actually works. Not tomorrow, not when things settle down, right now. Because things will not settle down on their own. They never do. The business owners who are thriving right now are the ones who decided to stop waiting for the perfect moment and created it instead. That link is there. And what you do with it is entirely up to you.